Hey everyone, Bassman Strikes here. So what we're going to do today is we're going to add a drag clicker to this Daiwa Tatula 80. This is a really nice reel, and you can see I've kind of dressed this one up a little bit. I've also added a shallow Ray Studio spool. I'll show you that in a second. So what you're going to need to do this, you're going to need the drag clicker. You can get these off AliExpress. They're not that expensive. This one I think was it was $11.99. Free shipping. It took about 2 weeks to get it, but all it is comes with a new drag washer and like a clicker and a couple extra. There's only 3 parts. It's super easy to install, and we'll get to that in a minute. You'll need a 2mm Allen wrench. 2 of the screws in here are 2mm Allen wrenches. One of them's inside here. One's right there, and then there's also a flathead common type screwdriver head right here. There's only 3, and then you also have to disassemble the drag clicker, take your handle off, etc. And then the outer casing comes right off. It's pretty easy. And you'll also need some alcohol to clean the inside of the main gear, because the little clicker assembly sticks into that. There's some double-sided sticky tape, and we'll get to that. You also need some paper towel to wipe off the grease that's inside of there, and you also need some grease to grease the new drag washer, because this comes with a new drag washer. So you're not losing any drag washers. It's just replacing the stock one with this one, and it's a nice carbon fiber one, so it should be good to go. Then you also need nut wrench. It's right here in order to take that off. A smaller flat tip screwdriver for this one here. I just use this one here. So this is the exact order it goes in. So this goes in first onto the main gear, and if you look underneath, there's some double-sided sticky tape. So this is why it's important to clean that gear face, right? Because this sticks on there, and that prevents this from moving, and this is what generates your clicking. Then there's a new drag washer, and this is a little different. The stock Daiwa one is thinner and goes around the outside edge. Actually, I think this one's going to provide better drag anyways. Then this is the cap that replaces the stock Daiwa one. And you can see this has a little like cutout here, and this is where the drag clicker, it's like a needle thing, and then when the drag activates, it goes over this disc along these teeth, and it makes the clicking sound. And then the last piece that goes in is the clicker piece, and that just fits over just like that. So it's a very simple install, and it's just a matter of just cleaning that gear really good so the first part with the sticky tape sticks. Other than that, it's actually a very simple procedure. So we're gonna take apart the reel now. I'm gonna put this off to the side. So the first thing you want to do, take off your cover. And the Daiwa has a little flat tip screw that holds it in. I usually just make this finger tight, and then it just slides off. There you go, set that aside. And so you can see in this one I've replaced the stock 80 spool with a Ray Studio shallow. This is actually pretty nice. It's actually an SV style one, so it flies out and it twists just like the SV. It makes a pretty huge difference compared to the stock one. With the stock spool, this one wouldn't even cast a 1/10 ounce Ned jig with a standard Z-Man worm. It would just like snap the line. It was so bad. But you put this in here, and it's like just makes a world of difference. So let's set that off to the side. So the next thing we're gonna do, we've got to take off the handle and the star drag. Alright, so what you want to do is you want to take off the little nut retainer screw, set that on your paper towel, Keep everything in the same order that you took it off and make it easier. Take your small wrench, and remember, these are opposite of standard nuts, so it's not righty-tighty, it's lefty-tighty, righty-loosey. Alright, so put that on there. So we take off our nut, our retainer, and set that off on your paper towel, same order you took it off. Alright, take off your handle, and there's a little washer there. Set that aside. Alright, and then take your star drag off and just keep everything in there. There's a small washer, just leave it there. Okay, there's nothing under there. Then take off the spring. And now this is the actual drag nut. So that's what your star drag assembly acts on. And so you can just, depending how tight it is, you can just get it off by hand. Sometimes you can put the star drag back on if it's real tight and you want to hold your pinion in here to prevent it from moving. Alright, so we take that off. There's a washer under there. Just keep everything in the same order that you took it off. And so this is the star drag clicker right here. Okay, there's a washer to keep everything in the same order, same position. And then take this whole assembly off. And there is a washer underneath. Alright, there's a bearing right there. So now we're ready to take the cover off. So take your 2mm Allen wrench, remove this one here. Make sure it doesn't go flying. Okay, just like that, put that aside. Now the second one is inside and there's a small hole you can put your Allen wrench through. Just like that. And loosen that one up. There's that one. Okay, and then finally, there's this flat tip one right here. And this one's a little bigger than the one I used to remove the nut retainer. Alright. You gotta use a bigger one to break it free, and then once it's free it comes out, you can switch over to a smaller one. This one's actually probably the hardest one to get. I don't know why they made one with a flat tip and then all the other ones are Allen wrenches. Okay, there's that one. Set it aside with the others. At least there's not that many to get mixed up. Alright, so then what you want to do is pull the cover off, straight off. And there's a bearing right there. Make sure that doesn't fall out. And your anti-reverse clutch is in here as well. Just pop that right off. If you can, just leave everything inside of here. So there's also like a sleeve in there, the drive sleeve. So just leave everything in there, set it aside. Alright, so what we want to do now, you can probably get away without even removing the gear. So what you gotta do is take off this plate. Alright, so take that off, and we're not going to use this. That green one in the kit is going to replace this. So you can see that all that's in here is the plate and a single drag washer. So take that off, and this is going to be the part that replaces that. Set that aside. Okay, and then use a little pick or whatever and take out your drag washer. Okay, so you can see the difference. The Daiwa one is a little bit bigger and thinner. I'm going to set this aside, and here's the one that we're going to replace it with. So, I don't know, it's probably about the same area, it's just this one's a little smaller. You really can't tell any difference. So now what you want to do is you want to clean this inside area with some alcohol and a little piece of paper towel. And make sure, you might want to take these springs off because these can pop off. So I'm just going to take these off and set them aside just so I don't lose them. Alright, so then what we're going to do, we're going to clean this. Alright, so I wetted some paper towel with some alcohol. And what we're going to do, we're just going to clean this face right here. Get all the grease out. Because we want our new drag clicker to stick in there nice and good. Now you want to try and not disturb any grease that's on the gear itself. Okay. Take another little piece of paper towel. Because we don't want any grease left on here because we don't want that thing coming loose. Give it a little shot. Alright. Make sure there's no grease on the face of this thing. And feel it with your finger, make sure it's not sticky or greasy. Feels pretty good, nice and smooth. Alright, that looks good. Now, what we want to do, we take our little plate with teeth. So this is the first part that goes in. And what you want to do is you remove, there's some double-sided sticky tape, and you want to remove the film on this side. So just take your fingernail, or if you have a little pick or something, you can just go in here and remove this little plastic cover. Okay, so that reveals the little sticky side. So what we're gonna do, that goes on first, sticky side down. And that's it, just press it on. Alright, make sure it's on there good, okay? So that, so far this hasn't been that hard. Everyone see that? That's all it is. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the drag washer. Now this is dry, so you're going to want to put a little bit of grease on this. Alright folks, so I got my grease. I use this Super Lube. This stuff works great. I use this in all my reels, and it's suitable for drag washers as well. I mean, if you don't have this and you have like Cal's drag grease, you can use that as well. But you know, for the kind of fishing I do, this stuff is great. Works. There's no issues with it at all. So just take a little brush and then apply a little bit to both sides of the drag washer. You don't need a lot, just enough to get it covered, and then use your fingers and smear it around on that drag washer, just like that. You just don't want it going in dry. Alright, that's probably enough. So that goes on next. That goes right on top of your little plate with teeth. Okay, so put that on next. Okay, just like that. Bada boom. Alright, the next piece is our top plate, which is replacing the stock Daiwa one. And so this one is keyed, so you can see there. So that one has to go on just like this. Alright, so that's what our stack looks like now. And then the very last piece is our part that actually makes the clicking sound. So you can see this part that like goes way down. That has to go in that slot where the teeth are exposed. Okay, and this is also keyed. So just put that on just like so. And that's all there is to it, folks. And now we just reassemble. All right, as long as we're in here, we're gonna grease the gears. And so what you wanna do, take your brush and just brush some on. Doesn't have to be super thick, just enough to get in the teeth. Rotate your gear. You do not need a lot of grease. They're like pretty skimpy though from the factory. You need a little bit more. Alright, that's good. That's all you gotta do. Now let's put our springs back in. One there. One there. Okay, now as long as we had left everything intact, we can just pull out this sleeve because this has to go into the slots there. So see there's little teeth right there? That has to go into the little slots right there. So you just have to line that up and you'll feel it'll fit right in there. Just like so. Alright. Alright, now we're ready to put the cover back on. Just put it straight down and the bearing should still be in there. If it pops out, it's no big deal. It'll slide back on. You'll hear it snap. Push this bearing back in. And it will be like it has a little spring-loaded action now because we have that little clicker in there. So you can see the bearing, it will go back down when we tighten everything back up. Alright. So then we need to put our screws back in. So we'll start with this hidden one right here. That's one of the Allen head ones. I'm going to use the Allen wrench. Kind of guide it in. Okay, so there we go. Let's get it started. Then put it back through this hole. And then snug it down. Don't fully tighten it yet. So we get the other ones all in. Alright, the second one. It goes right over here. Alright, should go in nice and easy. Snug it down. And the last one is the little flat tip one that goes right there. So get that in there. All right, use your little flat tip screwdriver. Okay, now tighten this one down snug like you normally would. And then we'll tighten up the other two. Okay, and tighten up your two Allen wrenches or Allen nuts. Alright, that one's good. That one's good. Alright. Alright, so now we just have to put the handle assembly and the drag star back on there and tighten everything up. And we should be good to go. So you can put your spool back in now at this point. Put your cover back on. Put this hand tight for now. It's good enough. Alright, so there we go. Now you should actually At this point, it should, if you hold this, it should click. There we go. Alright, so let's finish putting it back together. Alright, so just put everything back on in reverse order. The black nut, there's a cup. You put the spring in the cup. Finally put your star washer drag on. Okay. And put this washer on here. This is the last piece. Okay. The handle on. And you want to make sure there's kind of a spring action to it, so make sure it's pushed in. Okay, and take your nut. Remember, it's right hand thread or left hand thread, so it goes the opposite. Okay, once it goes on, tighten it by hand. Take your wrench. Okay, and then put on your retainer. Right, you want to get it as close as you can. Alright, like that, and then take your wrench and tighten it until your screw hole lines up. Just like that. Okay. Put in the retainer screw. Tighten that up and we're almost done. This one works a little better. All right. So there we go. Good. Star drag works. Now let's hold the spool. Look at that, nice drag click. Let's loosen it up a little bit. How's that? That sounds great. So that's all there is to it, folks. It's not hard at all. Now we got a fully customized, smooth as butter Tatula 80 with a drag clicker. Well, I hope that helps some people out. It's not that hard. Bassman out. Thanks for watching Bassman Strikes Kayak Fishing. If you like this video, please click the subscribe and like buttons. If you would like to be notified of new content, click the bell button. If you have any questions about lures, equipment, etc., please leave a comment. Also, be sure to check out our Facebook page and join our group Black Bass Central. Links will be in the description. We'll see you next time.